Hey guys, so today I'm going to show you how I make my Father's Day burger sets. There's going to be 7 different elements to this, so these are the supplies that you're going to need. I use 5 different colors of royal icing for these cookies. First, the yellow for the cheese and the seeds of the tomato, red for the tomato, green for the pickle, brown for the hamburger patty, and a neutral color or a copper for the hamburger bun. I use vanilla extract and gel food coloring to paint and kind of shadow the hamburger bun. Paint brushes, of course, so you can do the painting, and some edible markers. Those are optional also. I also recommend having some sprinkles so that you can make sesame seeds of the hamburgers. So you're going to want your royal icing to be at a flood consistency. That basically just means that it kind of sinks back into itself at around 10 to 13 seconds after you lift it up and kind of let it drip back in. I use gel food coloring. You can usually find this at Hobby Lobby. Just add as many drops as you want to get the depth of color that you want. I didn't go super red with the tomatoes because, I don't know, usually they're not like super red when you have them in a hamburger. Mix it in really well and then put into your piping bags. I'm starting with the hamburger patty. Outline it. It does not have to be perfect. Fill it in. Just kind of squeeze your piping bag and smooth it around. I usually use the tip to smooth around my icing. You can also use a scribe or a toothpick. Like I said, it does not have to be perfect because we're going to let the top surface of this dry and then we're going to mess it all up to make it look like ground beef. Do the same thing with the pickle. Just outline it with your green royal icing. I usually let my outline dry just a little bit, that way it doesn't kind of fall over the edge. This is a scribe that I'm using, but like I said, you can use a toothpick and smooth it around. To make straight lines, you want to push your tip of your icing bag onto the surface of the cookie and then lift and squeeze and draw the line. Like I said, I let the outline dry a little bit and then smooth around the icing using a scribe, or you can use the tip of the icing bag if you want to make it perfect. Back to the hamburger patty. Once it's dried slightly on the top, use a paintbrush or a scribe to kind of move around the icing and make it a little bit textury because you don't want it to be smooth on top. So it'll kind of sink back into itself because the icing's still super wet on the inside, but you're going to do this a couple times. So for the hamburger bun, use your neutral color, whether it be white or copper, and outline the circle to make your hamburger bun. And make sure your icing's super smooth by using a scribe or toothpick to spread it around and pop any air bubbles that happen to come up. And for the tomato, I do these a little bit different because I like to add depth and make them look super realistic. So I squeeze some red icing onto the surface of the cookie, and then using a paintbrush, I smooth it into a super thin layer to where you can even still see the color of the cookie underneath. It doesn't have to be perfect, just smooth it around so that it has this really thin layer. You're going to let that dry, but first you're going to outline the cookie. That way that can leave, you have a little bit of time to leave it to dry before we flood the inside and make the shape of the tomato. To finish the hamburger buns, just make sure the surface is completely dry. I would let this dry even overnight. I use vanilla extract or Everclear alcohol, which will dry without the alcohol, so it's safe for kids. Squeeze a couple of drops into a little painting pot or whatever you like to use. I use the Sunny Side Up copper food coloring from Hobby Lobby. Just squeeze some gel in there and use a little bit of the vanilla extract to dilute it and start painting the surface of the cookie. You can make this as light or dark as you want to, just whatever your preference is. I like to do mine kind of right in the middle, and if you get a little bit of extra on top, just use the vanilla extract to dilute it. I actually prefer to use Everclear alcohol, but I didn't have any on hand right now, so I just use the vanilla extract really lightly, and then you can just kind of paint it and make it look however you want. Of course, the edges I do a little bit darker to add depth to the actual cookie and make it look more realistic. I like to use these white sprinkles as sesame seeds because they're really cute. You can also just pipe on some white icing once the top of the cookies completely dry. So to finish the flooding on the tomato, we're gonna pipe about 4 to 5 of these little triangles in the middle of the cookie. And then we're going to set that aside again to let it dry before we flood the rest of the cookie. Now use your royal icing to fill in the rest of the cookie, just around the triangles and up to the edge, and then use your scribe or toothpick to fill in the rest. And sorry, my turntable took the cookie kind of out of view. And getting back to the hamburger patty, you're going to insert some lines into it using the back of a paintbrush or just anything circular to make it look like grill marks. Yes, I know my nails are different. I was getting a manicure in between making the video. So you just want to pipe some yellow tomato seeds into the triangles that we made earlier. And for the pickles, personal preference if you want to add some little squiggly lines. And to finish off the hamburger patty, I use a food writer, which is basically just food coloring inside of a pen. It's edible food coloring, an edible marker. Make lines and use a paintbrush with a little bit of extract to smooth them out and make it look like grill marks because it looks super realistic like an actual hamburger patty. So this is what your finished products will look like whenever you leave them out to dry. I like to let them dry for around 24 hours before I do anything with them. And yes, I know my pickles are different colors. I had 2 different icing bags. And I like to package these in a to-go container or a glass looking plastic cube. That way you can actually stack the hamburger and make it look really cute. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to message me and please share this video so others can learn how to make these adorable hamburgers. I do have some recipes on my website and it's www.sinfulsugar.net. Thank you guys so much for watching this.